Whether it's the regular season or the off-season, we have you covered as we give you the best Tennessee Titans and NFL news and insight that a fan could ask for. You're watching the Titan Upload Network.
Watching the Power Hour with your hosts, Michael Bishop and Tyler Staggs.
The Power Hour is on the air, live streaming on YouTube, Facebook, X, and Twitch. I'm your host, Michael Bishop, and as always, thank you for joining us on this Tuesday edition of the show. I gotta be honest, we've had a lot of Tuesday shows this year, but there's been a lot of things that have come up, so that's definitely pushed it to a Tuesday situation. Luckily, we're in the off season, so we're not going to be talking too late about football. No worries, but that's just how it goes sometimes. And I very much have a very good reason for pushing the show to Tuesday, but we'll definitely get to that a little bit later. But I have to bring in my partner in crime and, of course, cohort, as always, Tyler Staggs. Tyler, it's another Tuesday show, but there's a reason for it. We'll just stick a pin in that for why, because there's definitely some awesome talking points there. But I got to get to the nitty gritty of everything first. How are you doing today, bud?
I'm doing well. And yeah, like you said, Tuesday show, but for a good reason. We'll get into it. But yeah, I'm doing great. Glad to be here talking with you. Got some fun stuff to talk about tonight. That's for sure. So anyone tuning in, you're going to enjoy this show. But how are you doing, buddy?
I'm about as good as you can be, especially just with everything going on. You know, off season's just kind of dragging a little bit. But the good news is we're inching closer to training camp. We're literally about not even a week away from getting the rookies in and getting things rolling with a little more interest and generating a little more content, because you can kind of tell everybody's scraping the bottom of the barrel to try and get things out for the end of this month. I get it. Some people just can't do it as good as you and I do, but that's not me throwing shade neither. It's just one of those things you have to deal with every off season. Some people can do it. Some people can't. Not throwing shade. It's acquired skill. So, talking about scraping the bottom of the barrel, and I definitely think this is a good starting point to just kick the tires on the subject. Obviously, you're going to do whatever you can to generate interest between all 32 teams, especially, if you're a big media company, say like Barstool. You've definitely got to try and kick some ideas out there and generate interest and clicks and whatnot. Well, obviously, Tyler, we've kind of come full circle on this topic, because we definitely had this issue pop up. I'd say early May, I think, was when this issue popped up.
Something like that.
Now it's starting to resurface again in the form of an easy, simple question. Do you know what the Tennessee Titans mascot is? Of course, you and I know the answer. Everybody that's watching the show that's, a fan of or just enjoys the Tennessee Titans in general knows what the mascot is. So let's break this down from the answer standpoint. And it's about a 2.5 minute video. And if you haven't watched it, go ahead and watch it if you want to. They're getting clicks for it anyway. So what's a few more? Tyler, I'm just going to be honest with you. I expected some quirky answers. I expected some out there answers. I didn't expect everybody to just know the answer right off the bat.
Mm-hmm.
Understandable. I'm not trying to make any kind of excuse for that. It's understandable. Not a lot of people understand what the significance is with the two ties. But Tyler, some of these answers, man. I posted yesterday after watching this, and this just made my ass itch so bad. I have just never watched so much cringe in cringy form of the cringiest.
Yeah.
I expected some of these answers to kind of just get a rise, but it just seemed like there was no effort just finishing this out. I mean, you had cow, cat, giraffe, horse. Somebody answered jaguar. I can't remember who did, but somebody did.
Oh man, I must have missed that one because I'm gonna be honest. You sent me that video. I think I made it maybe halfway through, and I was like, "This is pure brain rot." Like it, I can't. I had to click off. I'm like, and the crazy thing was, I feel like giraffe was one of the early answers in the video too, and I'm like, where are we? Where is giraffe coming from? Like at least some of these other ones, I'm like, okay, that's out there, but I I can get it, to an extent. I can see where you're maybe making that tie in to Tennessee, but giraffe? Like really? Giraffe. Uh,
I mean, I get it. You're just trying to make a little light of the situation because you don't know. I obviously can understand nobody in that office is probably a follower of the Titans and has no idea what the ties are between a raccoon and the state of Tennessee. So it's obvious when the answer comes up. I guess the one thing that irked me the most was, yeah, that makes sense. That's why they're such a dumpster franchise. And I take this with a little bit of context because, okay, we can go with that for the answer for this point. But let me just retort. So, because I definitely decided to go with the state animal, then you're just going to reiterate that with just, that's just because it's a trash decision. When I would retort as, well, why wouldn't I use the state animal? I mean, who else in just about any sport uses a raccoon? So there's interest there. There's question there. Not to mention the fact T-Rack has some accolades of his own. I mean, a 13-time Pro Bowl mascot. I mean, I would definitely start off with that. And granted, even though we have some people in our very own media that covers his team that are not a fan of the raccoon, we all know who. We don't have to say here. I would reiterate, what in the hell is interesting about a giraffe in the state of Tennessee and even remotely makes that interesting from a technical standpoint? Where's
yeah.
the ties there? Please.
And look, I can. Here's the other thing. I can get this argument of, people when you hear the Tennessee part of it, the raccoon makes sense. State animal, you have the ties there. I can get it though if when you think of the Titans, you don't necessarily think Tennessee first. You just think like out of the name of the team, the Titans is the part that comes to your mind. I can get how you might come to, all right, you're going with a raccoon for your mascot. Like, why not something more Titan related, something like that? But I mean, it just depends on. I mean, they weren't the Titans when they first came here. They were the Oilers, Tennessee Oilers. So you think of, when you're doing all this, you're thinking of different ways to tie things in. And I like T-Rack. T-Rack's fun. So but yeah, like I said, I wasn't able to make it through that video. I don't agree with getting rid of T-Rack or that they should have gotten rid of T-Rack when they did the rebrand. I like T-Rack.
I mean, what are they supposed to replace them with, to be honest?
Yeah, I mean,
if the team's moving away from Greek mythology, I don't know where you go from there.
Yeah, exactly. Like if you were still keeping the Greek mythology part tied in more, then yes, in the rebrand, maybe it could have made more sense to change the mascot up as well, but you're going away from that. You're actually going more to Tennessee ties with the rebrand. Music City, the guitar strings. So if you're tying more into Tennessee, why would you go away from T-Rack?
I mean, I guess if we're going music, I guess we could just get a doofy, google-eyed guitar. I mean, if that's the way we're going, you know what? Why not a trombone? If we're gonna throw a giraffe out there, I'll throw the weirdest instrument I can out there. What about a bassoon? A big ass googly-eyed bassoon just running out there. Just, hey kids, it's time for Titans football.
No, we got bagpipes, Michael. We got to we got to go with bagpipes.
That's just messed up, Tyler. Don't have to bring the Scottish into this.
Hey, what? Now, actually, there could be a. Well, hang on. I don't want to stick my foot in my mouth here. I'm just going to leave it. I'm just going to leave that point alone because I do not want to stick my foot in my mouth and be wrong on that. So,
If you don't know, don't go.
yeah,
Good advice.
exactly.
But look, I'm not taking this video serious at face value. It is what it is. It's just clickbait at this point in the year. So I guess good job for them. They got clicks. They got through another day. So it'll circulate probably for another couple days. Cool. Good for them. I wouldn't take it at face value. It is what it is, you know. So good job, Barstool, I guess. But of course,
you did what you wanted.
They did, and it worked. So I'll give them props for that. So, you know, game recognizes game. But I'll tell you what we really want to talk about, and it is quarterback season 3. And of course, before we get this thing started, the reason that we had to kick this show to Tuesday were really just 2 simple observations. One, the show is coming out today. So any brainiac could tell you that it would just be in any beneficial situation for any content creator to put a show out tonight and have that talking point, especially that a good majority of everybody's probably watched the first few episodes and they probably got an idea what's going on. Second, and the most important, is why we had to hold the show back. Definitely wasn't because of the show coming out. Is because Tyler Staggs, of course, being a season ticket holder, got a premiere exclusive to go see season 3, episode 1 in a prestige setting. So, Tyler, I will let you break that down, how your event of that evening went. Of course, he's going to have a little bit of help.
Yeah, pause 1 minute on that.
Dad duty never fails. But, you know, that just leaves for just better expectations. So, Tyler, as I was saying, the floor is yours.
Yeah. You know, I'm going to say this. Shout out to our awesome rep with the Titans. Like, she is taking care of us, and she was actually the one that reached out to Carrie and was like, hey, on July 13th, do y'all want to come up to Nashville and watch a special preview of Quarterback? Yeah, like, obviously. And, you know, I showed it here a minute ago. You know, we go up there and just all around great event put on by the Titans. They had one of the Regal theaters up there in Nashville. I don't know exactly how many theaters they actually rented out. I know that all of these had a different color lanyard with it. And there were at least, I think, maybe 5 or 6 different colors. So I guess that's probably about how many theaters they had. But, you know, they had you taken care of. You got to go up there. You go in, you check in. They tell you what theater you're in. You go back there. They have free small popcorns. Even have, you know, the butter machine back there. We were back in like theater 15, which was, you know, the very back of the building. You get back there, they got popcorn, they got the little butter machine. You can butter the popcorn yourself. however much you want to put on there. You got a free 20-ounce drink, and then you get to go in. And Michael, this was honestly the best part because, they could have done it at any theater really, but no, they get you the theaters that have the good reclining seats. So, you're able to get up in there, you're able to kick back, and then you got this big ass movie screen that you just, they, I don't remember if I sent you the picture or not, but like, and
you didn't, but I'm gonna have to like see it since you're showing it up there. If we got a good view of it,
basically, and
he's pirating in a movie theater.
I wasn't recording, just a picture, but no,
sure, it was on photo mode.
Yeah, may have been a live photo, but that's neither here nor there.
I'm just saying.
But yeah, it's just you get to kick back, and I was talking to you about this. Didn't know if they were going to have any special appearances or anything, like if they might have a couple of players come by and like pop in at the end. They didn't, but still, this was an all-around awesome event that the Titans put on. Even, when you're walking in the theater, they got the posters up on the wall of the movies they're showing. I mean, they had these pictures up on like those posters. Had a place where they would take your picture, and it was just awesome getting to see and being invited to an event where you got to see this a day early. Like, yes, it was just the first episode, but it's also about like the community. Like, you're there with other season ticket members and other, all these Titans fans, and getting to enjoy this in person together.
And I mean, it sounded like a blast. I mean, just the whole atmosphere. I mean, kind of hoped that there would be a surprise showing of maybe some Titans players to just chill out and hang out and watch it with you guys. So I'm not the setup event PR guy, but I'm just saying, kind of seemed like a missed opportunity.
Yeah, a little bit, but I also get it. Like, they've got training camp coming up in a couple of weeks, so they're probably, even though we see these guys out here putting in that work still on like Instagram and all that, I get why they're like, hey, let's still let them kind of enjoy this time away, not put any pressure on them. But again, it didn't disappoint me that there weren't players there. That would have just been like the cherry on top, but it's still awesome.
I mean, I'm not throwing salt at it. I mean, it was a great event. It was a great night. Everybody had fun. I'm just saying that's what rookies are for. They've got to like learn this whole thing anyway. So seemed like a good opportunity there, especially since the Titans really aren't in the limelight in this kind of situation. So I kind of feel like they could have added a few more bells and whistles. I'm not throwing shade. I'm just saying they don't get this kind of PR every day. So if you're going to get it, milk it. But I got something real quick, Tyler, and it's a phone call, and it's from the theater, and they're not happy about your picture, and they're on the line right now. I got them on hold, so they need to talk to you. They're not happy about it.
You don't know who I am, but I know where you live.
Yeah, you've already got them upset about that, so you're going to have to work that out with them. I am not affiliated with him going to see the picture. I'm just saying he is just a part of the show and just reliving his experiences. Since he's out there pirating, I can't control what he's doing on his phone.
Michael told me to do it.
I never had any affiliation with this idea whatsoever, or did Dapper Pigeon Productions.
He threatened to get rid of me if I didn't.
There was no mention of demotion or even production of Mop Boy, as it was said. This was all false and fabricated. So I'll get back with him. We'll hammer this out. But, just behave yourself in here. Don't whip out your phone, because that just gets a lot of suspicion out there. I'm just saying. Jumping into the comments real quick. It's Mom. Love you, mean it. Good seeing you. Good evening to you as well. And our good buddy, Gary from What's Shaking Titans. We've got a debt to pay, Tyler, and I know we've both been busy, and I'm just telling you right now, Gary, we haven't forgot. The weather has sucked over on our part. So if we get a nice day, we'll get it done sometime this week. I promise we haven't forgot. We'll get it done.
Yeah, my wife actually just told me earlier when we were sitting down to eat, she was like, "It looks like after tomorrow we're actually going to be hitting kind of a dry spell." And I'm like, "Finally, I can mow my yard and actually have time to do this challenge where it's not a thunderstorm outside and I'm having to worry about getting struck by lightning."
Yeah, the last thing we want to do is hold up a metal bucket and then get struck by lightning or that kind of situation. We're going to do the ice bucket challenge. We want to do it safely, though. That's just the key word here, safety. So I promise you we're going to get that up sometime this week. So the weather is definitely in our favor. So it helps move the process along. And of course, much love to CJ2K. We're going to get that done for him, most importantly. So before we jump into it, Tyler, let's just say this from just a standpoint. After watching that first episode, do you think that if you haven't watched the show yet, and of course, spoiler alert, if you're watching the show, we're going to be talking about the whole show entirely. So don't get upset if we spoiled something. You've been warned right here, right there. This is your dot point. So anybody that hasn't had a chance to watch the show yet, what would they come away with perceiving Cam Ward as an individual in the limelight?
Oh man, what would they perceive him as? I mean, here's what I'm going to say, because there is a moment that I feel like is definitely being talked about more. Like even before we jumped on the show here, I saw an article about it. Earlier today, I saw some post about it on X, and it's, I feel like, and even going back to comments that I've had from people before, I feel like some people are going to run with the Cam Ward kind of calling his own shot on that third down in Denver and really play into the whole entitled thing as a rookie and try and use that against him. I mean, one thing that we've always heard quarterbacks talk about with their head coach is the coaches are wanting to, and offensive coordinators, they're wanting to find the plays that the quarterback is most comfortable with and, go from there. Like, they want to do the best to help the quarterback succeed. And I feel like that's why I want to mention that point, because, Titans were in field goal range against Denver, only down by 1, could take the lead, just don't need to take a sack. Callahan already kind of had a play in mind. Cam asked to see, the play sheet, the situational play sheet, and saw a play that he liked. It didn't work out. And he even said, like, before going out there, like, I know, don't need to take the sack. Ends up taking the sack, knocks him out of field goal range. But, to me, that's just part of the growth that you're going to have as a rookie quarterback. Like, it can be debated till everyone's blue in the face. Should Callahan have let Cam call the shot in that moment? As the head coach, maybe not. But at the same time, as a play caller with what we saw from Callahan, I don't know if I would have trusted him much more to make that call on what play they should have ran in that moment. So, but I think the biggest thing that I took away from, that first episode is just you get to see more of Cam's personality, just even in that first episode. And he's just, really, he's a to-the-point guy. Like, he's not just going to BS you to BS you. Like, no, he's going to tell you what he thinks. And I'm fine with that.
And that's the kind of talking points I'm looking forward to when we get our first segment off underway. Before we do that, Tyler, it's definitely going to be a full topic to discuss. So it's a good time to clear the board, take a quick break, and let's reset. So let's take our first break. And when we come back, Quarterback Season 3, Netflix. Super hot show, especially in the summertime. We'll break it down with each episode that we can. Right back after this.
And here's the kick.
Or because I can't get the right damn button in place, I guess we'll just jump right into it. There we go. I'm already making summer mistakes. But hey, I guess it's not the off season if I'm not hitting the wrong button. Isn't that right? So I guess, did you get your breath caught, Tyler?
I'm good.
Okay. Well, we'll just go from there. So that's a mistake on me. Chalk that up as an error. I'll deal with that later. So as we knew this was going to be the highlight of the offseason for the Tennessee Titans and Tennessee Titan fans, Cameron Ward front and center with the other slew of young and rookie and veteran quarterbacks as well that came into the situation on season 3. Little pushback. A lot of people felt it was a lackluster cast. I disagree, Tyler. From the very first episode, they set the whole precedence going forward that we were going to get a very mixed bag of individuals with personality, leadership quality, and characteristic traits that really just entices you to watch the show. And I was very happy with what we got. So let's just start from there. We'll put Cam Ward on the back burner for right now because I feel there's a lot of great talking points, especially throughout the entire shows going forward. And you got to start with Baker Mayfield. Baker's been going through it his entire career, and I think through this season in 2025, the Bucs really looked like they were going to be a team to be reckoned with. So you got to feel for just how this was a great setup for Baker Mayfield to show himself on a bigger stage and show that kind of bravado that he had in Cleveland. And, of course, where he bounced around the last couple of years before planting his flag in Tampa Bay and showing why he can be the guy long term. And I don't even think that's a question anymore.
Yeah, I don't think it's a question either. And, you know, it's kind of funny because Baker is one of those guys that is kind of grown on me over the years. Like before he was drafted, man, I was not really a Baker Mayfield fan. But then, and even after, his first couple of years in Cleveland, I still wasn't a big fan of his. But after watching him more and everything, I was like, man, I like the resilience that he has and the toughness and, yes, he can have some of the cockiness and arrogance, but a lot of the times it comes from, either just getting himself fired up in the moment or his team, someone on the other team talking trash to him. So he goes right back at them. And, especially seeing that, even in just the first episode, seeing him get fired up, it's like, yeah, I'm kind of a little, I like what Baker's doing there. And, it's, his personality is when you see him more in this light too, it's it kind of draws you in. It's that entertainment factor and it draws you in. And I do think, Tampa has a good one going forward there. Like you said, he bounced around, but I feel like they got it right by keeping Baker there.
And before I go any further, spoiler alert, if you haven't got to catch up on any of the show, because we're going head first into this evaluation, so you've been warned. So don't come at me in the comments if I reveal something you don't know yet. So you've been fair warned. All right, so here's my thing with Baker. We didn't realize just the extent of just what was going on and why the Bucs were starting to fall apart, especially after that 6-2 season. Let's just break down what was really happening with Baker Mayfield that was really under wraps. Sprained his MCL and PCL and a bone bruise in week 2. He had a torn bicep tendon in week 3. And then he had an AC joint shoulder injury in week 12. And still, he managed to throw for over 3,700 yards, 26 touchdowns before they basically just fell out of the playoffs altogether on an 8-9 record. So, yeah, apparently there was a lot more going on than meets the eye, Tyler.
Yeah, and even like one of my favorite quotes from him throughout it is the whole like they would have to cut my arm off to keep me from playing. And even then, I don't know that keeps him from playing because the dude's so tough and so competitive that he would probably go out there and be like, you know what, I can throw left-handed for a little bit. Like, I can do this. But yeah, I mean, just a lot going on. Seeing the picture too of his throwing arm after that hit that messed up that tendon in his bicep, and it's like, golly, like that's rough.
I mean, especially for a team that was like leaning heavily on him. And yet this was a team that still, despite those injuries before they fell apart, 6-2 before just everything just tumbled downhill. And it just showed how much Baker Mayfield was able to keep that team on his shoulders despite all the injuries that he was bearing. And of course, the rest of the Bucks were dealing with their own things, especially as the season progressed, and they kind of fell back down to earth. But regardless, Baker is definitely worth the price of admission just with his personality traits. And you just see the close bond between him and his wife. And the realistic point right there is, we keep forgetting that these aren't just athletes, but these are guys just like us that are married and have children and are doing things with their lives other than the profession that they've seeked out. And I mean, that's just the human element of the show.
Very true.
So, of course, Baker, I feel, is just kind of your headliner right here. He's the guy with the experience that's been to the playoffs, that understands what it takes to be successful, especially after being cast off in a situation that you don't feel like you were truly appreciated in. So the next guy, obviously, I feel Jalen Daniels is the guy that you really are paying close attention to. Rookie of the year last year, 12-5 record, makes it to the NFC Championship, which we called, by the way, and the ceiling is massively high for year two. But of course, with that, Tyler, the dreaded sophomore slump always seems to come into those conversations. So from these episodes, what did you take away from Jayden Daniels' situation? Of course, with potential superstardom that he's going to be the guy, the face of the franchise for years to come. But it was really just kind of an awakening kind of situation.
Yeah, and another thing for him, like having to deal with the injuries that he had throughout his second year in the league. And I know, especially early on in the season, like I believe he had sprained his knee and wasn't able to play the next week, and then the following week, not able to travel with the team on the road because they didn't want to bring their injured guys with them. And it's one of those things for him when you have the type of rookie season that he had, like when you go high in the draft, you already have these big expectations around you. And his rookie year, he went and like shattered those expectations, had a better rookie year than anyone thought he was going to have. Well, that just adds even more to your sophomore year. And, puts a little bit more pressure there as well, because it's like, all right, well, now I have to build off of what I did my rookie year. And, seeing, he has to get through that own adversity in his head, basically, or those struggles early on where, all right, he gets hurt, he has to miss a couple of weeks, he's ready to be back, and just how you have to keep kind of carrying that load every week. And I think as long as Jayden Daniels stays healthy, like Washington has a guy in him, but last year kind of proved it was, like I remember that it was the knee injury early on, spraining it, and then I'm blanking right at this minute, but I feel like he had some more injuries throughout the year that I think it was his elbow, if I remember right. Didn't he?
Yeah.
Didn't it get dislocated or something like? And it's just, freak things that you don't normally see happen, but it's now you got to go through that adversity of those injuries in your second year, and how do you carry yourself through those?
And I mean, not only does that situation for him, make things even more difficult going into his third year, but now, you go from being a potential contender to potentially people saying, Dan Quinn might be the problem, and he may very well even be on the hot seat with the situation, as the way the things in the NFL go, especially when a team falls back to earth after just a juggernaut type of run in his rookie year. So I can't really just put it all on him. It's never a situation that you can control when you get hurt. I also have to keep contributing with Washington's situation. You had a lot of older players that ended up leaving after that situation. You had guys get hurt on their own situation. And of course, Deebo Samuel was definitely not the guy you were hoping him to be, especially in that year in 2025 to just take over. But it's hard to do that, especially when your key quarterback's not in the game. So go ahead.
I was just going to say, yeah, I mean, good points there. And right quick, since we're talking about Jayden Daniels, another thing I want to hit on with him is like his mom, because I know throughout his first couple of years, and especially before like this Netflix series came out featuring him, like a lot of people talked about, and some of them were wondering if his mom was like too overbearing, stuff like this. But like from what I have been able to see throughout this, like she's doing a hell of a job. And here's the thing, it's not about wanting to be taken care of by him with the money that he's making. Like, no, she was a successful businesswoman before any of this. And Jayden Daniels even mentions it. He's like, all the success she's had with money, like, why would I not want her to help me and make sure that I'm set up in a good position? And all of these roles that she's juggling. And you can tell that it's helping keep him on the path that he needs to be on.
For the situation it is, it's being comfortable that he's able to focus on his craft and just leave the kind of business aspect in her hands, which is, they said, she's got experience in it. She knows what she's doing. She's a smart woman. And obviously it's paid off for her, especially in the long run, handling this. And if he feels that he needs to move on, if it starts interfering with anything just more internally, then that's just going to be a decision that he has to make on his own. So it's understandable just from just an easier perspective, but it's kind of just stepping away from seeing the whole elephant situation. So I like that they're able to add that dynamic in there, and there's just more understanding there, especially because it just can be seen from a very one-sided view. And that happens a lot. You see just one aspect of it, and it's easy to make that assumption. So going forward with that, I think it's just better to have that understanding and that it just had more clarity with it. So I definitely appreciate that they were able to just shine a light on that, and they didn't even skirt tail it even. So I appreciate Netflix for just going in depth with that. So moving on to our third quarterback, because I've got to save the next one for last, obviously. I remember at a point where Joe Flacco was in the elite conversation for almost years. And then, unfortunately, everything just kind of just took a downward spiral. And he basically became just the seasoned journeyman, which it happens. Let's just be honest, Tyler. Early in Joe Flacco's career, I felt that there was a narrative that he could be discussed as elite, especially after that playoff run when they went to the Super Bowl and beat the 49ers. It was a fair discussion at that point. But sometimes you just fall into a role to where you understand what you're truly good at. And I think it took Joe Flacco just kind of that just falling back to earth situation to really understand that he can still play the game, but it's not at the level that he played when he was a younger man.
Yeah, and it's and when I want to go back to a point you made earlier, talking about how maybe a lot of people talked about how this cast for quarterback wasn't maybe the best, but I like this cast that they had because obviously, like, you get the personality with Baker, but then and Jaden Daniels, you get the guy coming off a great rookie season. Cam Ward, you get the guy going into his rookie season, but then you have Flacco, and I actually liked them throwing him in because you get that veteran that's been around. Like you said, now he's kind of turned into that journeyman veteran, and also kind of learning that role of, okay, yeah, I can still play, can't, like you said, but not at the level that I once played at. What am I actually able to do and everything? And, it's just, and also bringing in the different dynamic of this dude's 40 years old and he's, still making the sacrifice throughout the season, like having to be away from his family, especially like early on in Cleveland, and then getting benched, and even one of the points that he talks about is, and his wife talks about, like, okay, it's something, one thing being him being away from us when he's starting and he's out there doing what he loves, but then now he's on the bench and he's still away from us. And, he's not actually getting out there to play. So, I like seeing the different dynamic that brought as well.
Let's just take this for face value. Going through that trade process, heading to the Bengals after Joe Burrow suffered yet another injury, how impressive was it, the fact that he was able to take that quick turnaround, learn the playbook in the few days that he had, turn that within those starts basically to 13 touchdowns in just 6 of them, and then capping off with a 2025 Pro Bowl nod?
Yeah, I mean, there's no other way to put it. I mean, that's impressive, but at the same time, that's something that you can get from a guy that's been in the league as long as he has. And I mean, like you said, early on in his career, especially after that playoff run, Super Bowl win, like, you could throw him up into those elite talks. So, like, back then you knew he had it, and now he's been in the game so long, and I'm not saying that he's Tom Brady, but kind of like what Brady talked about, like, later on in his career, he's been around so long that, like, defenses can't really throw anything at him that he hasn't seen before. And, he's used to, especially over the last couple of years, bouncing around. He's used to learning these different playbooks. And after being in the league so long, he just has that knowledge. So at that point, it's just learning the terminology of everything. And, it's something that I feel like you would almost expect from a guy his age and experience, being able to learn it quick, get that quick turnaround. But that doesn't take away from how impressive it is.
Impressive as it was, we get to our final talking point, and that would definitely be our main watching point as Tennessee Titan fans and those that cover the team. Cameron Ward was worth the price of admission. I would easily say you could call him almost the comedy relief of the four. And I don't mean that as being disparaging. I genuinely mean when Cam was on screen, he was entertaining just about every chance that you heard him talk when there wasn't a serious moment going on there. Like the dude really just wants to get in guys' heads and just screw around with them, and I'm all for that.
Yeah. I feel like, people talk about certain positions, guys have to kind of be like a little off in the head or psycho, but especially playing the quarterback position, like if you can find little ways to get like in the defense's head and in a defender's head, like that's just I love that. Like you said, it's entertaining, and really you can throw them off their game sometimes because like then they get thinking about that and maybe they push a little bit more to try and make a play and end up missing, or cause them to hesitate for just a second and they end up missing out on something. So, I've said this before. You just you love that from Cam.
Now, of course, you and I talked about this earlier before the show started, and the hardest part was just reliving all that to where it was just frustrating again. And it was just like, oh, God, it's like just watching a bad movie again. It's just, I can't take it. It's just frustrating, but it's just a learning process. And, of course, you got to go back to the 4-game losing streak where, of course, he busted out the famous phrase, we're keeping it a buck, we're ass.
Yeah.
So I feel that that's kind of a turning point right there. Not only in the sense that he just chopped it just with truth, but the fact that it's like, this is a leader that's not just calling anybody out as an individual. He's saying it's us,
right.
All of us. It's including me.
And,
there was no individual pointing out. It's literally, we need to get better.
Right. And, I remember just back during the season when he said that, and all of the talk that went around of how, this could be bad for the locker room, this and that. And then now, especially, you fast forward to this series and you have, after these comments, you have Alec Eilemander sitting there talking about how, it's important to have the locker room behind you, and Cam's honesty keeps the locker room behind him. Because, as I mentioned earlier, Cam's a guy that he's not going to BS you. He's going to just tell you like it is. And as you said, he said, we ass. He didn't say those guys are ass, anything like that. No, he said we, as a team, himself included, like, weren't playing up to the standard that they needed to play at. And having that honesty, like, and again, hearing Alec Eilemander talk about that afterwards, like, you actually get the team behind you more because you're being that leader and just telling it like it is.
And that's what this team needs, especially heading into the next year. Cam Ward showed me, he has the playful side of him. He has just the mentality where he's really trying to dig into people's heads, just like Kobe Bryant did, just like the guy that he idolized growing up. And you can see little tidbits in that. That gets me excited because I want somebody that's going to go out there, talk the talk, walk the walk, and live up to all the expectations. And Cam Ward has the ability to do that with his skill set, with his traits, even through the things that he wasn't able to succeed with. As we were talking earlier, as you brought up, the play call against Denver where Cam wanted to change the play on a 3rd and long, and unfortunately it didn't work out. That's a learning process. I want guys that are going to just take blame and own up to those mistakes and then just move forward. As a quarterback, you want to have a goldfish memory. And Cam Ward, to me, has the aspect of doing that. So I definitely have to ask on this point, Tyler, your favorite Cam Ward moment throughout the whole series so far.
Oh, man. And, I will put this out there. I haven't got to watch all of it yet, but my favorite moment has to be like when they're going and playing like dodgeball with the kids and stuff. And he was talking about how he just wanted to basically peg him with the dodgeball, but like he didn't. But that again, just the competitor that he is, like he's like not even wanting to show grace to the kids. Like no, like I'm really wanting to.
Oh, he's bringing
sling that ball.
it. He's bringing it. He doesn't care who it's against. That man is just going to compete. I mean, wasn't that the same situation where he lied to one of the kids and said he was 6'3"? I was like, okay, I mean, flex your flex, I guess.
Right.
That got a kick out of me. So regardless, I mean, if you haven't got to watch the show, we highly recommend it. Cam Ward's definitely super entertaining. He's super intense in those moments. Like, you'll enjoy the show. How would I rank it between the first 1 and 2 seasons? I'd definitely say I'd put it above season 2. I really enjoyed it more than season 2 because there's more narrative there, and I just felt that the storylines, especially which is the 4 they picked, I liked it. I really did. I think they picked the best 4 just for season 3, and each one's personality just shined in its own light, and it was just a really solid season.
Yeah, as far as where I would put it, like, so far, definitely have it above the second one. And, it's hard not to just be biased and say, oh, well, since Cam's in it, I'm going to put it at the top one. But
One
at
was
the same
awesome.
time, yeah, at the same time, like you said, season 1 was awesome. And as fun as it is to have Cam in this one, we're having to relive a lot of those moments from last year that I kind of don't want to relive. So
that gets a notch down in your belt.
Yeah, that gets a notch down, but still love that they had Cam on here and getting to see more of this behind the scenes stuff.
Absolutely enjoyable. Watch it if you can. I promise you, it's worth the price of admission. You're not going to be disappointed. I really think, in terms, it's way better than season 2. I really just felt the storylines and just everything else along with it just made it a solid year. So quarterbacks definitely got a chance to keep shining if they want to keep it going. So season 4, we'll see how that plays out. But I do think season 3, Cam Ward, and I will say Baker Mayfield just shined on the bright stage. So these 2 dudes, I enjoyed them so much for the show. All right, guys, we'll take our break. I can't say our first break. I mean, technically it's our first break since I've screwed up the last one. So we'll take our final break and we come up. We love you. We mean it, but we got to get you out here and back into the real world. Hopefully I picked the right one. See you in a few seconds.
You're watching the Power Hour with your hosts, Michael Bishop and Tyler Staggs.
The Power Hour is on the air. Live streaming on YouTube, Facebook, X, and I'm your host, Michael Bishop, and as always, thank you for joining us on this fine Tuesday edition of the show. Tyler, I'd say it's been a great show so far, especially with my error. I'll own up to my mistakes, so that's fine. And I mean, you're out here just pirating movies, but I guess that's just something we'll have to deal with. We had our mistakes on the show. We'll own up to them, so it's all good. There's always next week. But of course, we appreciate you guys for showing up and showing out for us all the time. So as always, if you love the show, help it grow, follow on us on all our social media platforms at the Power Hour 615 and at the Titan Upload Network. We're going to give you the best content we can give you every chance we get. And of course, Tyler, we're getting our shorts going up again. We kind of just had like an off week last week, so we're bouncing back.
Yeah, like you said, last week was a little bit of an off week, so got to get back on that train. But I don't know, Michael. Maybe it was the weather. I mean, just rain every day and kind of threw us off our groove. But
It really did.
we'll get back to it.
Bad weather can do that, but that's not going to be an excuse we're going to hang our hats on. We're going to do better for you guys, we promise, and continue to give great content out. But of course, we love you. We mean it as always. But before we get out of here, last segment of the show, hit the damn theme music.
Closing time.
Good night, losers.
So after a couple of days, Madden rookie ratings somehow leaked out, and to look at our guys that were drafted this year, it would appear that Keldrick Falk is outranking our number 4 overall pick in Carnell Tate. So Tyler, are you mad about it, or are you fine with the rankings as they are?
I'm not mad about it. Maybe a little confused. Since Falk did fall to like the end of the first round. And, it's not necessarily uncommon for guys that are like maybe drafted a little bit later than someone in like the top 5 picks to be a higher rating. Like, Caleb Downs, the guy that was picked just outside the top 10, has the highest rookie rating, it looks like. But yeah, coming back to these guys, I'm not mad about it. I'm actually a little caught off guard that Madden rated them this high, Titans rookies this high. So, I'll take it.
I mean, I'll just put it this way. I mean, the highest I've ever seen a Madden rookie rated would probably have to be about an 85.
Mm-hmm.
Don't ask me who, but I definitely remember the rating for sure. But I mean, in retrospect, I get it. They're about where you would want rookie players to be. It's not like they're in the 60s or anything. So, I mean, that's a whole different story. And I mean, obviously, after they played a little while, these things are going to get boosted up anyway. So, I mean, it's a talking point at this point. I'm not mad. I'm not happy. I'm not over the hill about it either. But I mean, I guess it is what it is. I mean, especially, I guess I can see just any fan standpoint, just looking at just Carnell Tate's rating and be like, are you serious? Especially after we've seen this kid do like in OTAs, which, okay, that's fine. But still, it's OTAs. Let's calm down a little bit.
Yeah, I'll tell you when I would have been mad about it. Like, you go back to last year, Cam was what, like a 72, 73, and was the number 1 overall pick. So when I saw 77 and 78 for these guys, I'm like, okay, a little bit more respect right now for them. But the biggest thing that I was concerned about, and I had to go find the list, I was like, what are the other like couple of receivers that were taken after Carnell Tate? Where were they at? I was like, if they are higher than Carnell Tate, then yes, I'm going to have a freaking problem. Like, I'm going to have a come apart on this. But they're not. They're 76 overall, which is fine. And
they're about where you expected them.
Yeah. So, I'm fine with this. I've seen some other stuff about one of the Titans' main stars, where he's at and how he ranks against another defensive tackle. That has me a little upset, but I'm going to keep the focus on these guys right now.
Yeah, we've got plenty of time to talk about that. We still got a lot of time before football games start hitting, which is not going to be too far away. Tyler, we're almost to the finish line on this, man, so be proud of us. We're actually getting through it on a timely fashion. This offseason has flown by, and we're about ready to just punch through to training camp, and that's where all the real fun's going to start. So as always, thank you guys for joining us on the Power Hour tonight. Once again, you made it a phenomenal show. You showed up, you showed out. Round of applause for you guys, as always. And don't forget to hit the thumbs up, subscribe, and ring the bell for more notifications at the Titan Upload Network and at the Power Hour 615 on YouTube. And, of course, wherever else you stream our show, whether it be Twitch, whether it be X or Twitter, whatever you're calling it, What the hell are we calling it? I don't know.
Ah,
We might as well just bring it back to Twitter. People want Twitter back. Hashtag bring Twitter back. So we'll be back next Monday with another phenomenal show for you guys, as always, and might have some big news on the horizon. Got to wait a little bit before I can make it official. So just hold on to your hats, kids. I promise you, it'll be pretty cool once I get the thumbs up to roll with it. So, Tyler, final thought before we punch out the clock.
final thought. I think you'll appreciate this one, Michael. Seeds.
Seed. That needs to be a shirt, and if the Titans Pro Shop doesn't jump on that, I swear they're just missing on a great opportunity right there. I just gave you a freebie, guys, so just help yourself. What am I doing? I'm just throwing out great ideas. So why not? Why not one more?
That's right.
All right, guys, that'll do it for us. We are out of here. We'll see you next Monday. Have a great week, and I promise you, we'll be back on Monday for sure, barring any massive changes, which I don't see happening. So for Tyler Staggs, I'm Michael Bishop of the Power Hour. And as always, take care and tighten up.
Tighten up.
You're watching the Titan Upload Network.